Hey guys, welcome back to ESL classes. Today in this video, you are going to get some valuable tips of cracking GMAT, CAT and IELTS. Obviously, this video is related with comprehension skills and I've invited Shakil Muhammad from Bangladesh and he's going to share some functional tips of reading comprehensions. So let's quickly get into the conversation.
I'm Shakil and I'm from Bangladesh. Currently, I'm studying electrical and electronics engineering. I'm in the third, so that's me.
Good morning, Shakil. You're most welcome to ESL classes.
Thank you for inviting me to your classes.
Okay, and today Mr. Shakil is going to give you audience, you people, some practical tips how to deal with reading comprehensions. So will you please suggest some tips? I will not take more time, only 2 and 3 tips, so that the readers, in general, and especially the student of GMAT and CAT and those who are dealing with such competition, how will they interpret the passage? How can they comprehend the passage well?
Okay, it's my pleasure to be on your stream. First thing that comes to my mind once I get the script would be read the passage thoroughly. Let's apply the skimming technique. In that way, I have to start with the question first, going with specific words, and using those words, I would look for some clues, some fact, some ideas here and there popping out, and then I would use that reference for the comprehension.
Yeah.
Or if I have some time, if I'm flexible, if I think that I could pretty much control and occupy that, I'd rather go with the whole passage. What's easy is that once we read those passages, and before that, and after that, we read those questions, we could, in general, like connect, like what was the question looking for, or what did I read just now? So my brain would indirectly tell me the answer or something that I feel connected to. That was one point. So the first thing we have to look is for a certain word that would take us to the next point. It could be in favor, it could be not in favor, it could go against or not against, it could be anything else, but we have to understand the gist and go after certain words that's been mentioned in the question, and that would easily allow candidate to understand what the author meant in first. Now, this is one point. Point number 2, the gist. Now, when it comes to gist, meaning the short summary, using the short summary, we understand how and where this kind of thing will take place, or there's a chance for it to improve, for the candidate to grasp the idea in the first place. So that is technique 2, or point number 2, whatever you would say. And point number 3, it's pretty much easy for anyone else to understand, is the references. So let's say here we have got 4 words based on the question. So if I follow this question, it's pretty obvious for me to understand where that word is going or where it's going to take me. So I have to look for references. That's point number 3. And for point 4, I'd say we have to figure out the assumptions and clarifications shared by the author, whether that is true or not true. Now, once it's a story, we know anything can happen in a story. It could go in my favor or it could go in your favor. But I have to understand whether there's a flaw or not, or whether it's a compare-based comprehension, or whether it's a contrast-based comprehension, whether it's a neutral one. So we have to figure out those points also. And redefining these all 4 or 5 points in the strategy, it becomes pretty obvious for anyone else to understand the gist of the comprehension. And using the skimming technique or reading the passage first in the first place would seem pretty obvious for anyone to understand. And within that certain point of time, anyone can score. Score.
Yeah, that's quite effective. And I think that your all points and tips are equally important while comprehending a passage. You said that first we need to understand the theme and the subject matter, and that we can do through skimming. So skimming is just process of reading the text very quickly to draw out the meaning and the subject matter. And here we treat the whole passage as a one text as a whole. And obviously, and this is the technique by which we do it is top bottom reading, where we read the things very quickly and we come to the question answer. And when we read the question answer, again, we go to the passage for scanning the specific detail. And your point that we should understand the references, it is equally important, because most of the time writers give the references and we need to understand the gist. And one more thing I think that readers require, that is making inferences. Most of the things are not explicitly stated in the passage or in reading comprehension, especially when we talk about GMAT and CAT. So obviously that time readers need to use their schematic knowledge, the knowledge of surroundings, and the knowledge of understanding the non-verbal cues. For example, when I say making inference, simply if I give you an example, like if a person enters into his room while closing his umbrella, we simply understand that it's raining outside. So this is such type of knowledge is called schematic knowledge, and this is just related to our background and surrounding. And I think that the second knowledge that we require while comprehending the passage is contextual knowledge, contextual understanding. And most of the words in IELTS, we find that they're quite low frequency words, which we never, find in our life. So how to interpret those words? And I think that every word has some connotation. Some words are different words like loathed. So it gives a negative connotation, loathed. So sometimes we have to interpret using the inferences and all our, connotations. What does it mean here? Because we are aware of the context. And according to me, the last point is systematic knowledge. As you said that we start with the smallest unit of the language. First we read about word, then sentence, and then paragraph, and then the entire passage. So I think that all the tips what you have given, they are quite useful and obviously quite functional, and they can help all the students who are preparing for GMAT and CAT and the similar examination.
I gave an example, and that got me thinking. I mean, that was really cool. The example was about the umbrella and getting back to home and then closing the umbrella because it was raining outside. I think there are three words: umbrella, outside, and rain. Now, if I ask someone else, why would someone take umbrella outside? Because it's raining. And why did you get in? Because I'm back at home. Well, and why you go out? Because I have to work. And why do you need the umbrella? Because it's raining. So there's a reference. Like I just shared a sentence, but it's based on three words. So the best way to understand the biggest possibilities or anything is break them into chunks, little chunks of words.
Obviously, that's great. Yeah, that's always great. And first of all, we need to break the, entire sentence into small chunks, and we need to relate it back to previous sentence so that we can be stable with our meaning. And we should not, because most of the time in such examination, we find a lot of unnecessary informations, okay? And we need to filter them out. And I think that all the transition words and conjunctions, they also play a great role. We have to be very specific about that, when, while, because these things just refers to a particular subject. So I think we should bear all these things into our minds while comprehending. And obviously, today you gave all the tips that are quite essential for making a good comprehension. So thanks a lot for giving me your precious time. And thanks, Shakil, for giving your time and your valuable tips. And it's going to benefit thousands of students. So
always a pleasure to be on your stream, to be on your class, and actually, it's my first time doing a collab with someone else. It's my first time.
Okay, that's great.
But I think I pulled off pretty well. I'm hoping, but I mean that's how it goes. Once you're experienced, once you go for these strategies or these follow-ups or this little journey, throughout time, one by one, you become something. That's me.
Yeah, it was a quite wonderful session. Yeah, it was a quite wonderful session with you, and I'm very glad to meet you. Okay, so okay, thanks a lot again, and bye bye. Take care. Have a nice day.